This is Stacking Pennies, and I'm LaJoie, your 2022 modified Martinsville winner. Joined to my right by now 5-time championship, 4 competing championship driver, next best thing since sliced bread, Joey Logano.
What up?
How you doing?
I'm great.
Thanks for coming in.
This is like old times here. I mean, who'd ever thought when we're all screwing around at the joy of seating, racing drift big wheels, that we'd be here today. You
Who's racing for a
championship,
me sitting here running my flapper, and him just sitting here.
Just being a professional friend.
Also
Who's
joined by
laughing now?
Ryan Flores, front tire changer for Ryan Blaney's Ford Mustang.
Yep. Who had the idea to give us all microphones? That's there. Got them.
I know.
We got them.
I know.
Yeah, suckers. Big week, buddy. You had a front row seat. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room, shall we?
All right. Where are you going? Straight
the
to
Hail
Martinsville,
Melon.
huh? Straight there. Okay.
The Hail Melon. Let's get it out of the way, and then we'll talk about the other stuff.
Let's do it. What do you want to talk about? How amazing it was?
How amazing it was, and I like how much of the give shit switch you have to turn all the way off to just even do that.
A fair amount.
All the way.
Yeah, a fair amount.
Like if there's some nozzles, like you can't leave any of them on.
No.
You crank all of them off.
It's an all or nothing desperate move. And I tell you, it's something I've thought about. It's something all of us did when we were like 8 years old racing video games and we didn't know how to go faster on Martinsville. What did? We put it up against the wall and we'd go wide open and you'd go fast.
Yeah, lay a heater down.
And Ross did it in real life. And
do you think that it was premeditated?
Yeah, absolutely. He thought about this. This wasn't something that's come to your mind. Like I'm telling you, I thought about doing this for years at other racetracks, enough to practice it in the sim.
Yeah.
To do it, but you have to be in a desperate position to do it. And on the radio, they said,
"Need two."
You need two. And he said,
"I got you, Chief."
Let me hit this fifth gear. Just lay it on the fence, and like, okay, super cool, huge moment, right? It went really, really well. It could have gone really, really wrong with just a couple things different.
Can you lean up for a second?
I know. Well, okay, here I am. Okay, is this me? You're labeling me as the wall cop. Okay.
They have a segue here if you need it.
All right. No, let me ask you.
Let
me ask you if this makes sense.
I didn't come up with this.
I don't know how I ended up being the wall cop. Someone asked my opinion. I gave my opinion.
Merriman.
Here I am
If
again.
you want to be mad,
that's Merriman.
Just lay it there.
That wasn't me.
All I'm saying is, Ross gets out of the car and he says his eggs are scrambled.
Right.
That can't be a good thing, for one. If the car climbs up on the wall, there's a bad thing for safety for not only Ross, but the fans sitting there. That's not necessarily a good thing.
Janie was right there by the fence.
Yep.
Lord knows we about lost our producer.
That could have happened.
Had taken a week or two off of the show.
And here's the other thing. Like, it was cool. We went past a bunch of cars. If you do nothing about this, what happens the next time we go to a racetrack where that can happen? Which might be this weekend. Who knows? But
rumor has it some guys are messing around with the simulator.
I've heard. And so, like, is that what we want to see?
dumb.
Do we want to see 40 cars laid up against the wall in the last lap of a race? Is that what we want our ends of the races look like? I don't think so.
I think there's only 36 cars going to field.
Whatever. All of them. The rest of them. Like, I don't know.
Do you know how big of an ass treatment I would get for if I'd put my car on the fence?
If you won, probably
not.
21st.
Well,
If you did for 21st, probably not.
Yeah. I just think that
but as the leader, you have to do it. That's what I'm saying.
to defend it, for sure.
To defend it, the only way to defend it is to do it.
He came by you so fast where it was like,
I don't know. I don't know. It's only Tuesday.
I think watching that video, your in-car was the best. Because he kind of where he spit out.
Yeah.
But, like, you can tell that, like, as much of a video game move as it is, right, everybody looks at every angle of sport. So, like, the way Coleman was like, I guess it really does work. I'm like, okay, they've looked at it. Like, hey, what do you think about this? And, yeah, but, yeah, you open a can of worms. As cool as it was, you don't want it to become the norm.
Because it's like every truck race, every Xfinity race, all like, everybody watch the can of worms is open now, right? Like, now we all know it's a move that is possible. It may hurt. It may be very risky. You may only do it in a desperate situation, but it's there and it's available and it's going to happen a lot.
I don't disagree with that take because there's definitely a valid argument to be made about safety, right? I mean, it's just bizarre when you're going 125 miles an hour in the middle of the corner at Martinsville. But I'm like, you know what, boys? I'm going to try it in the simulator. Yesterday we were there, and we were validating tires. And sure enough, grab fifth gear, put it up against the fence, and run an 1885.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and was it hard to do?
No.
No, you're
you
right.
Just floor it. What are you talking about?
You just got to have big cojones, which Ross had.
Yeah.
For sure.
Melons, bro. Like, melons. I just don't know if you – like, you have to know that is in your bag, and you also you have to know how much it's worth, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, how do you know until you do it? I mean, you kind of did it to Sim, and it actually lined up.
It's worth 2 seconds, right, or a second and a half.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there's guys that drove into turn 3 knowing that their championship hopes were over, right?
Yeah.
And they were okay with that. And then there's one guy that drove in the turn 3, and he said, I'm not okay with it. And that's what you get.
That's why I say it. More power to Ross. Like,
yeah.
It was, like, awesome that he was willing to do it.
So
but now it's there.
Kevin Harvick says, absolutely no way this works in the old car. You think it would work in the old car?
Absolutely would.
What?
He only got to do it one corner.
Yeah. I don't know if it's as advantageous, but I do think it could work for a corner.
Yeah.
But
it cuts a tire down. You're already next to the wall.
We watched before you came in here on the Xfinity car, which is the closest thing that we have to the old car, and Sheldon Creed tried it at Darlington. Now the speed variation in the middle of the corner isn't as much, so he like ran out of steam in the last third of the corner.
Right.
Like, it was good, and then it just ran out of steam.
But he had a flat going into the corner, didn't he?
I think so. So you don't have another
going in. He had a left rear flat, so he had no real drive.
Yeah.
So that's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
The closest comparison is Kyle Larson doing it
in the Cup race.
And if Denny didn't go defend it and Kyle didn't lift,
yeah,
he's gone. Like,
now, what do you think
gone.
about Kyle Larson saying that it's embarrassing when he was the first one that did it?
Well, I mean, he was honest about the way. I appreciate honesty. Like, if that's the way you feel, like, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Do I think if we did this every week and it happened all the time? Yeah, I would agree with Larson on that. For the one time, I don't think it's bad, and it's something we're all talking about, and it was an awesome move. And I say I don't want to take anything away from what Ross did. It's super cool. But the next time it happens, it's just not as cool. And then all of a sudden, you're losing the integrity of what racing is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can agree with
If that makes me the wall cop, so freaking be it, okay? But that's how I feel about it.
License and registration.
Yeah.
Do you think that's up there? When you think of an all-time great NASCAR move.
Oh, it's up there. It's up there. And this is okay. I can get a little on both sides of this. For one, it's up there because of what was on the line and how he did it. Super awesome. Is it challenging to do? It's challenging to make yourself do it.
Yes.
It's not actually challenging to execute the move.
Yes.
But to make your mind okay with doing this,
bro, that's dancing with the devil.
A special person.
Hey, I've said on the show multiple times, Ross goes shark mode sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, his eyes will roll back, and he'll go get that seal. Whether it's a 6 car in front of him, whether it's Denny Hamlin, it seems like you're like, Ross, what are you doing? And then this opportunity, hey, it worked out. He went shark mode, made the championship for it.
And it's all right. Like, he says his eggs are scrambled, but he's never really sunny side up anyway.
You're not wrong.
Just being honest.
No, you're not wrong.
I just think it's an incredible thing. How about, like, for his team? Like, I think that was, like, one of the coolest things is that, like, they go in their corner like, oh, man, like, we're not going to make it. And then all of a sudden,
Justin Marshall,
wait, what? What just happened?
Gosh. And also, there's so many things wrapped up into that, right? The move up against putting it up there, passing 4 or 5 cars, getting the right amount of points. But passing the 11 was poetic justice.
Oh, yeah.
In its own.
Yeah.
A lot of storylines going in to Phoenix. How you feeling about it on a Tuesday?
I feel really good, though, about it. I do. And for a few reasons. One, we've had 2.5 weeks to think about nothing but Phoenix. And if you only have a certain amount of time in the day, and everybody else has had to focus in on Miami and Martinsville to get there, where we had one quick conversation, okay, yeah, let's go do that, that's fine. What about Phoenix? And we kept going on. That's where our mind has been the last 2 weeks. These guys just got done racing in Martinsville, and the car's got to be loaded up Wednesday afternoon. You don't have time. Meanwhile, your driver's doing media like we are right now all day today, got media all day Thursday. They don't have the time to have the meetings and to talk about the little details.
Strategies.
And that's what it's going to come down to. That's what this race is about. They're all going to be fast. All 4 or 5 of us is going to be fast on the racetrack. The people, the human element is going to be the difference that's going to win the championship. And we have the advantage. It's plain and simple. We do. We've been here 5 times. We've won. We've lost. We've learned every time. And we have a 2-week advantage over everybody. We're in the catbird seat. We are in position to win this thing this year.
And you've won at Phoenix more than the other 3 guys combined.
Boom.
That's got to make you feel warm and fuzzy.
It does feel good. Feels good. So
of
we just got to do our job now. That's
He's
it.
feeling good.
I'm feeling good.
Well,
Dangerous. You're looking dangerous.
Yeah.
It's an easy, like everybody always says, well, you want to win this one because you can work on it. You want to win or whatever the first race
It
is.
used to be Martinsville.
Vegas.
Now it's Vegas. But like it feels a lot like 2018 to me, having that ability and time to focus in. And it's maybe even more important because the car's got to be loaded up sooner.
How much time do you spend in just meetings talking about strategy versus putting a lot of weight into your simulator time?
No time in the simulator. All just meetings. I'm not a big simulator guy. If I'm being honest, I never go to it. I don't see much gains for me as a driver and as a team. We're just not that team. Right? Some teams, live and die by the sim. We are not that team. Paul's not that guy. I'm not that driver. We just haven't been. We really go off of what we've done in the past and what is actual, facts that we've done. Now there's a lot of simulation work, maybe not the driver in the loop sim, but the actual sim. Yeah, we work with that some, but it's really, we are a very old school race team when it comes to that stuff. Paul's that way, and he does a very good job at that. And it's a different way of doing it, and there's definitely differences within Team Penske and each crew chief on the way they approach in a lot of ways, right? And I'm coming from Todd Gordon, who used to be my crew chief, who was huge on sim stuff, right? That's he lived and died by the sim. And Paul is the polar opposite, and it's fun to see both sides of that, and I can kind of plug in a little bit of both now. It's actually helped me become a better driver.
So you ran 8th the first race there. Do you throw that setup on the board? You throw a Loudon setup on the board? You throw what you learned maybe at Martinsville on the board? Like, what are you looking at we get an hour practice down there so you can kind of tweak on your stuff, go back to your teammates and figure out a better direction. But, like, what are you trying to hodgepodge together and trying to find the strengths and strengthen up weaknesses for your Phoenix?
Absolutely. You said it. You look at it, a Loudon, you look at a Gateway, you look at what Phoenix was. Martinsville's kind of a beast of its own, but you can look at little couple things here and there. And then even like what you learned at the 1.5 miles, right? I mean, this racetrack's kind of,
it's a tweener.
It's confused on what it wants to be, right?
Yes.
Like, is it a short track? Is it a
tweenager?
Speedway? It's confused. It's going through its awkward years. So, like, you kind of take a little bit of all that and say, okay, here's what we think is going to be best. Here's some changes we want to go through and try during practice. And like I said, we've had the time to really think that stuff through on what those are going to be. Right. And then we'll think them through all the way to the end, right? We'll use all the time we got, but it's nice to have those conversations done before how busy this week gets for everybody.
You're notoriously a guy that fires off, and you won the first dirt race at Bristol, right? You won the first race at the Coliseum. You seem to be a guy that just jumps in and is automatically fast. Is 1 hour of practice, is that going to help some teams more than others?
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to make the field closer. That's one thing we've always seen with practice, right? Is that when everyone has time to work on their car, the whole field might be a half second apart, and before you know it, they're 0.3 apart, right? And because the good cars can only get this much better, and the
team cars,
bad cars get a lot better, right? So it's going to make the field closer. Which, once again, going back to the details in the race, it's going to be won and lost on details. And so the practice is okay. It's probably it's a good thing. I feel like one of Paul's biggest strengths is tuning the car. throughout practice, and we really never got to do that a whole bunch because we had 3 races of that before COVID started, right when I first started working with Paul, and then ever since then it's been limited practice, and this actually kind of opens his hands up a little bit to be able to actually tune on the car a little bit. And you know what's funny is you don't realize how much you miss practice and like how fun practice is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Like
a lot of
I love it now. Like we get to practice like Gateway. That's really the last time I really got to do this. I had a blast. There's 50 minutes of just like crashing, trying this, back in, communicating as fast as you can, and then afterwards you had all this stuff to look at and like really go through. Boy, that was a fun time.
I agree.
When you say it like that, and you look at Gateway, look at the Coliseum, look at Bristol Dirt last year, those are places where we have gotten practice.
Right.
So you guys have worked and made your car better together. So yeah, that's a good point when you bring that up. I haven't thought about that.
Sounds better when you say it like that. Yeah.
Talk you right,
going,
talk
man.
you right into
I'm feeling
this.
better by the second over here.
Blow it right up there, will you?
I was watching the Race for the Championship docuseries, and they had the kickball tournament on there.
That's what I heard.
You know what I realized? I told Brittany this after I watched it, and I said, you know what? I said, you know when you think you're doing something like pretty good, but then you see yourself on TV and you're like, oh my God.
Did you think about
That's
that
what happened to me.
in kickball?
Yes. I was like, I realized like my leg doesn't go up as high as I thought it did. It feels like it's going way higher when I kick. And then I realized that's why I can't kick a home run worth of crap.
Well, you need some steel-toed boots like.
Well, I needed that like
teammates.
Cindric, but I also needed some ability like you guys. And I after watching it, it was like, oh, I am not athletic at all.
Well, I don't know if
Yeah.
you realize this or not. There's 3 guys at this table. Only one of them's racing for a championship, and
Yeah.
that's you,
Yeah.
my friend.
I could drive a car good. I
you
got
are-
that part.
You are damn good at doing that.
Any other? I've got my butt kicked by you guys since we were kids on everything else.
Not ping pong.
Ping
You're a
pong, I can
guy.
hang. Foosball, you're in trouble.
Oh.
Any little table sport, I got that.
Dude,
Anything that actually takes like ability.
only you can appreciate this,
Coordination.
But since we're
you
talking
got
about
the ability.
since we're talking about Race for the Championship, when he hit the fence at Talladega, like right when he hit the fence at Talladega, Mule turns to me, your long-time tire guy that's our tire guy now, and he says, "Good thing his life insurance paid up." He didn't miss a beat.
So quick to it.
Oh,
too.
right there.
Good thing. I always send an email to my guy before Speedway races like, hey, we're good, right? Okay, cool. No, I remember my question. So I think we've talked about it on the show of like now just making the championship 4 is a admirable feat in itself, right? It's not the ultimate goal you want to achieve, but there are everybody else in the field that's never even made a championship 4 with the opportunity to compete for a championship. You've made it now 5 times. How much weight do you think, and when it comes to 15 years down the road for Hall of Fame, like not even Joey Logano, talking Denny Hamlin, talking Chase Elliott, right? How much weight should be put into how many opportunities you've given yourself to be in the championship 4?
I'm probably too close to the fire to answer that right now because it's not the goal.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just one stepping stone closer to the goal. The goal is to win the championship. And coming from somebody that's been there and won and has been there and lost, being in the championship 4 and losing is awful. It sucks. Like it doesn't mean anything, right? Like, okay, cool. You were there. You were close. All right. But
Nobody cares.
when you're still in the hunt and it still hurts when you lose, you can't look at making the championship 4 a success. And I feel like that's what's making our team maybe a little better spot this week than others, is that I feel like there's a couple that are just excited that they made it. And it is an accomplishment to make it. But our team just doesn't look at it like that. It's just one more step closer to the goal. We can still lose. And it would really hurt on Sunday night.
So you won, obviously, 2018. Which one of the other 3 hurt the most?
2020.
Why?
2020 was the one that hurt the most. And gosh, you remember how you lose every single one of these things. But 2020, we're out there running down Chase, coming to a green flag cycle in the final stage, ran right down to him, pitted, executed the pit stop, came out in front of him by like a second and a half maybe. We're in position to win this thing. Just ran him down on the long haul. Now there's like 30-something laps to go, Everything's good. All right, we did our job. We executed the race. Everything perfectly. What happens?
Caution comes out.
Can't see where I'm going. Car's shaking.
Oh, no, loose wheel.
No. Still don't know what it was.
Gremlins.
Still don't know what it was.
That possum that
Car's
found its way.
shaking like crazy. Can't see. Tight as can be. Fall all the way back to 4th place.
Oh, no.
Finished 3rd in the championship.
Really?
That is the number one thing that drives me, because it's just talking about now pisses me off.
That's what I was
if
trying
you're
to do.
that freaking close and you do everything right, and then something you can't control takes you out of it.
Yeah.
That's life. It's sports. I get it, but it hurts. You
And
can't
it's
hide
racing.
from that. It's very, very frustrating. So this is revenge. To me, I look at this week as it's revenge for 2020, because I feel like we should have won that. We did everything as a team we were supposed to do, and now we're back in the same spot. Let's just do it again. That's how I feel.
Revenge tour.
Revenge. That's
It's
it.
about to
Sweet
jump through this
revenge.
table like a Buffalo Bills pregame.
That's a
feel like
good.
that?
That's a
Good.
good segue.
That's how I feel all
I
week long, by the
know.
way.
Speaking of revenge, that's a good segue to your old team and Ty Gibbs dumping his teammate at Martinsville. Now, you've been in the middle of teammate controversy, whether it be the Daytona 500 or plenty of other things. What is your take on what happened at the end there?
All right.
Hit us with it.
Let me just say, as a disclaimer to start, I've made a lot of mistakes. And when you're racing at this level in a good car at a young age, you grow and learn in front of everybody.
On live television.
And everybody's going to have a judgment, because you've all made stupid decisions.
He's
when
looking
you're
at you, too.
19 or 20 years old, or however old Ty is. I don't know how
Yeah,
old he is.
19, I think.
Is it okay? We've done some stupid things. We've done some really dumb things. But you did it in your high school, or you did it at, with
football
your
game.
small group of friends.
Yeah.
And eventually, people forget about that. This will be in the record books. People will talk about it for a long, long time. It's going to be a highlight every time an Xfinity race starts at Martinsville. Every time you get close to the end of the playoffs. Anytime someone talks about their teammate, this conversation comes up. That sucks. And it sucks for Ty. Not that I'm taking Ty's side on this whole thing. I'm just saying I've been in this position before. I've made poor decisions. I've had to live with them for a long, long time, to the point that I still freaking see them every time you come to one of these races. Or now I get nervous when Hudson's got the controller on YouTube that he's going to see something stupid that Dad did, right? But that's the choices I've made, right? And it's the decisions I made by being a race car driver and putting myself in that spot. That's okay. Now, do I agree with Ty did? No. The goal for me, I was in the same exact position, but in the Cup Series, right? This weekend. The goal was keep momentum, have good pit stops, don't lose the crew chief by any mistakes, and don't piss anybody off.
Yeah.
That was it. We accomplished all that and finished 6th, right? So that's kind of what it was. Okay, good. We did that. Ty was on kill mode.
From the drop of the rag.
Ready to go. And I don't think that puts you in the best position to win the championship. I've been through this before. I didn't even make it to the final round with Kenseth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that probably the best year.
That's our
I
running
remind
joke on the
everybody.
show.
What?
Every time Matt Kenseth's name's brought up on the show,
Ryan goes, yeah, I'm Ryan. I just talked about myself in third person. I go, you see that pulled in Martinsville?
because it all stemmed from we were talking about Hall of Fame
Hall
stuff
of
like
Fame stuff.
March, and
Yeah.
then every
Yeah.
time Matt's name came up. So I'm
I'm
glad
with you on that, by
I'm
the
glad
way.
you.
I lived it. I lived it.
But I also put myself in that spot for no reason. Going back, looking at it, did the whole thing kind of come down? Like, did I have to win Kansas that day? No, I didn't have to win. I already won 2 races in that round. I just wanted to win 3 in a row.
Hell
I
yeah.
thought that was a cool thing.
Step on the throat.
And I just got fenced. And I said, well, okay, you're going to fence me. Here we go. And looking back at it, after I didn't even make it to the championship 4 and we won 6 races that year, is like, what a missed opportunity.
We've talked about this before.
I'd trade that for a championship 4 appearance all day.
Well, the driving part is one thing, but the thing that shows maturity, and you've talked about it before, is how you handled yourself after. You said
Yeah.
that you wish you would have handled your interview or maybe called him that week differently. You would do that
Absolutely.
now than you would have then.
Absolutely.
Who do you think? Because Ty's in a unique spot because Granddad's the owner, Dad is essentially the president of the team. We're not sitting here arguing if Ty has the ability or the speed to be a damn good race car driver because he's shown both of that. His situational awareness is about zero. Who is in charge, or who should take responsibility to help teach Ty? Like, hey man, let's see the forest through the trees here.
Well, not my job, right? Not any of our jobs to do that, right? It's not my job to grow race car drivers. It's my job to kick their ass, right? Like that's what my job is. So
Joey's locked in.
I don't care.
Love that.
I am. I'm locked in this week, guys.
Smells blood.
Look out.
Yes.
But I don't know. I mean, I don't know, right? You lean on the people you're closest to in hopes that they're honest with you. Right? Like, you don't want to have people around you that just tell you what you want to hear.
Speaking of honest, did you see Jesus was walking around?
Oh, God. Standing next to the car. Oh, my goodness. But, dude, like...
That was so funny, dude.
Strategically...
Who was that guy?
I don't know. Jesus.
Okay.
Second coming.
Strategically, and it just so helps that it's Halloween weekend, so, like, we didn't look too out of place. Oh, man. I love this sport. I love it.
Dude,
I love it.
I love that stuff. I mean, it's
the turnaround
watching
time
it
is
as
amazing.
a fan was like, this is amazing.
No, like that guy legitimately quick-witted as Ross Chastain was like, oh, ding, you know what? I'm going to dress up as Jesus, go to the racetrack tomorrow.
Bingo.
Shout out to that guy.
But, like, dude, Ty, you much rather want to be racing against the 19 than a Chevy. Like, hey, I know I can beat the 19. I beat them all year in the same equipment. Right. I'm going to give somebody else an opportunity here instead of just leaving my teammate in front of me.
That's
but
the tough
like
part with
you
the
said,
teammate, and racing teammates is always tricky, right? It's because you want to work together, but you still want to win, right? And the thing is, okay, Jones is moving on to Junior's team next year. Okay, the driver's moving on, so maybe they're looking at like he's not even on my team anymore. Okay, that's one way to look at it. But every person on the team is going to be there next year, right? Like I would assume, or the majority, or be at Gibbs in some form or fashion.
Right.
And then when they go back to the shop, what happens? You got to choose a side, right? You got to. It's like when your friends get divorced. What are you going to do? You got to choose a side. It's kind of hard to be friends with both sides. It's eventually not going to work. Like, you have to choose a side. And now the whole company becomes divided. And you're like, well, which, like, and it's a bad spot to be in.
The drivers are the tip of the iceberg. That's it.
It's a bad
and
spot.
there's a lot underneath it. And like I said, you had to deal with it Daytona 500, right? But not everybody
you just
knows
try
the
to
full
deal
story.
with it as quickly as possible. But it's like, and listen, it's going to happen, right? Like, your teammates racing with the same equipment as you.
You're going to run around them.
You're going to be around them a lot, most likely. At some point, you're going to race around him a lot, and something's probably going to happen. And there's like different rules with you racing your teammate, right? Like, you know,
rules of engagement, if you will.
Yeah, not that it's like not going the 100% thing, but it's saying like, oh, okay, what can I do to my team? Or am I okay to punt him out of the way, or not? Right? Is that okay? Probably not. Right? Like, it's different. Like if you were in front of me or something like
You're
that,
shipping me.
And you probably wouldn't be as mad.
No.
But if you were my teammate and I shipped you, you're gonna be pissed.
Yeah, I'll be like in Tuesday comp meeting, like, yo, what are you doing?
Right. It's just a different level.
As fired up as he is, you better just point him by this weekend. Just go that way.
I already know what's gonna happen. It happens every week. It happened again this week too.
First, every practice,
every single time.
You know, because he's like the fastest car, and I'm like, you know, one of the slowest cars. So the way it works out, like he goes out, he's got clean air. He's like, I'm gonna lay a heater down here. Meanwhile, here's the 31st in points, right in front of him.
Right in front of him. I say every week, but it's majority.
It's every week.
Frickin' show.
There he is again. I thought it again.
And then I'm like, oh yeah.
This week I just showed my nose on the straightaway. I'm like, maybe, like, please. It was like a show your nose, like, maybe, please let me
gave
go.
it to you. I gave it to you.
You did. I thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And then he qualified right behind me. I was like, oh shit, maybe it's pretty fast.
Well,
we were okay.
It's okay. He wrecked my other closest friend in the modified race this weekend. So
I heard a lot about it.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that later.
Combo shot.
Got him.
Side pocket
for the win.
Drop that clock off.
Looked like racing to me.
It was.
It was.
Like racing.
And also,
One
you can't race a modified and not get yelled at by somebody. I mean, I feel like that's rite of passage.
Well, I mean, when you have a car that's as tough as a modified, right? It's the same thing as what we're racing now. The cars are so tough and it's
Just
so
a
hard
brick.
to pass.
It's a brick.
The tire's so big, you got to move them huge if you're going to move them.
Dude,
Right.
his bumper
Really
was
mad.
at noon, straight up, 12 o'clock. Yeah, it was straight up.
Oh yeah.
But that's a great point you bring up about racing teammates, because if you turn the knob off, like, okay, I'm going to be nice to this guy, and then you have to turn it back. Like, how many times have you tried to help your teammates out, and then you lose 2 spots, and you're like, what the hell am I doing? Especially at super speedways. So
It's tricky. It's the trickiest thing to deal with in a sport when you think about it. Like, usually, like if you're on a baseball team, those are your guys, and you guys are all on the same team. You win together, or you lose together. Well, on a race team, it's like, well, these are my guys, and this is my team, and when I work with them. But if he wins, I don't really win,
that's weird.
Like, what?
Yeah.
You know, like it's like the most awkward relationship.
When Joe Gibbs told you that there was no spot in the cup side for you, like 2 weeks following that, if somebody were to come up to you and be like, Joey, 10 years from now, you're going to be competing for your 5th Cup Series title, would you believe them?
No, because I was pretty certain I was out. Like my chances were going to be going back to Xfinity, and let's be honest, once you step down, it's very, very hard to have another chance, right? You're kind of already a marked man at that point. Like it's gonna be really hard to get back, and
especially in something that you can compete for a championship in.
Right. And like in the position that I'm in now, right? Like, I mean, if you told me, yeah, 10 years later, you're going to be driving for Roger Penske in the same car you've been driving the whole time with the same sponsors, with Shell and Pennzoil, like, really? Like, yeah, sign me up. Like, I'm in a better spot. That'd be a better spot than I am now, right? Like, and that was, I just didn't, I mean, the stars aligned perfectly for all this to work out. And I mean, it's a God thing for sure, right? Because I had to go through what I went through to be ready for what I am now. And I mean, I was this close though from being, what am I going to do the rest of my life? Like, I don't know. Am I going to do something else besides drive race cars? Like, those started going through my mind, which I never had that thought in my mind. Like, you think about how scary it is. Like, there was never a plan B. There was never
being a kickball player.
The damn sure is not that. I never had a second, like, that was it. And, like,
that's why I never quit.
I'd have been,
keep showing up.
It's working for you.
Hey, Poetic
I
Justice.
just keep showing up, man.
Poetic Justice, the 20 cars.
She's doing
3
good.
drivers and couple sponsors there since you left. So
He's in the championship for.
I think they found their guy now. But.
Yeah, I think so.
He's doing pretty good. All right, you've answered the 1 car, 1 track. Do you have a refresher on that question?
1 car, 1 track.
To race out the rest of your life, what do you pick?
Oh.
Have I not asked you that question?
I don't know if you
You've been
have.
on the show like
Maybe you
12
have.
times.
You probably have. What did I say? Do you remember?
No, that's what I'm
I
asking
don't
you
remember either. Glad it was a real memorable impression I made.
What is it? If you had to pick 1 car, 1 track. Any area
Bristol.
car.
Bristol.
Concrete.
Concrete. Yes. Probably in the old cars that had like 900 or worse in them.
Yeah.
You know, like probably 20. When was that? 2014, 12, 13.
Separate the men from the boys back then.
That was like when you were hauling. Like you go to Michigan and you run 212. Like that was a jam. That like you actually came off the gas pedal and like you'd hit the brakes at Michigan. Like whoa, and under the
probably
like, it was awesome.
And probably not because the car needed it. Probably because the pucker factor was pretty high.
I mean, it was big. I mean, over 200 mile an hour average. We qualified at Michigan. Average.
It's crazy.
You're bucking.
I've got a championship edition question for Joseph Logano. Do you want to hear?
I want to hear it.
All right. Sunday night.
Yes.
Joey Logano is a
champion. 2-time.
Let's go. And there you have it.
What did you think I was going to say?
I don't know. I was wanting to see how long your delay was.
Was it too long?
No.
Just right?
Dude, you're locked in.
I feel right.
Now. I'm sweating over here next to you. I'm in the hot seat.
I feel good.
There you have it. We got more show, but Joey Logano's got more media to do. And I'm not telling y'all who to place your bets on, but, I mean, Joey's get the hammer out because he's putting the hammer down this weekend. Joey Logano, thanks for joining us. Stacking Pennies.
Thanks, you.